art should remain art. Once you get into propaganda, you're showing disrespect to your audience.
A, if you are in politics and you're an actor, you're well recognized. B, you must come from an acting family.
Have you seen that decline in probably his presentation as an actor?
Specifically, Rajnikant, absolutely.
Sri Ramadas, who came to the shores of South Africa, that was very, very interesting to watch, because most of the bhajana songs are in that movie.
Modern Tamil cinema is obsessed with caste. Now, we're trying to get past the caste issue, and we know that society is not past it. We can see it from the newspaper. We see that the caste-related killings are still happening. We know that. But this constant bombardment of a very one-sided version of this caste war in films is keeping those wounds open. Quite the opposite in Tamil Nadu, because
I see that, yes.
if you look at the film industry is almost completely dominated by the DMK and the families of those politicians. So if you look at Red Giant Pictures and Sun Pictures are basically involved in every major release, either as producers or distributors, or have full control over the cinema's screening. Now that is a monopoly, and it is unhealthy monopoly. And if you look at the kind of interference that they have in terms of which movies can release when, we don't have to go very far back to beginning of this year. A very good example of interference when a major movie was pulled back just because a movie that was funded, directed, and had a whole lot of people associated with the ruling party, that film had to take center stage. Now, if you're an independent producer and you want to release a really good movie, and the ruling party has got someone that they have already chosen and said, no, they want that movie released, you're not going to be able to find a distributor. And even if you find a distributor, you're not going to find suitable screens for that movie. Now that is unhealthy. That is interference in the art. And remember, the people that control the media control the minds.
Definitely.
And every politician knows that.
Do we see some sort of solution to this? Does the entire fraternity have to fall for it to be rebirthed, to move away from this? Or is there any hope of this political interference on cinema, something we can't do anything about?
No, definitely, because the political power has been given to them by the people. The people who gave them the power can take it back.
Okay.
It's a simple.
I guess it's going to be the same in every country. I know you're a huge fan of Kamal Haasan.
Yes.
The actor.
The actor.
Are you a huge fan of Kamal Haasan, the politician, for what he stands for?
Okay. I've been very, very disappointed, because when he launched MNF, I actually thought that this was the best thing to happen to Indian politics, because I loved his honesty. I liked the way he got straight into the issues, and he is someone that's not afraid to speak his mind. So when he sold the policies and basically went to the ruling party, the DMK, for me, my respect for him as a budding politician disappeared. And of course, his recent comments when getting into parliament and his attack on Hinduism. Okay, that's actually quite another topic, because if you look at religion in India, and specifically Hinduism, Kamal Haasan's criticism against the practice of Hinduism, not the religion, but the practice of Hinduism in India, there's virtually no argument against his criticism, because he's talking about how the scriptures and beliefs and everything else was restricted to a select few, and no one else was allowed access to that. He's talking about how a certain group of people excluded other people from doing simple things. He spoke about the stratification of society. He spoke about how people involved in religion forgot that the main purpose of human beings on earth is to look after other human beings and to bring smiles to the faces of other beings. When we forget that and we trample on humans' feelings in what we think is spiritual progress, then we've lost the plot. So I do not agree with his religious views. I do not agree with his political views. But having said that, I think even Kamal Hassan would be surprised to hear this. I think he's a lot more of a Hindu than most people know.
It's quite a statement.
Then even Kamal Hassan knows. And let me qualify that. You take a movie like Dasavadar. Now that is supposedly an atheist. But he chooses the title of Dasavadar, which is linked with the 10 incarnations of Lord Krishna.
Yeah.
His main character is called Govind. And at the end of the movie, we see this Vishnu statue re-emerge from the ocean. Now, if you look at that entire movie, it talks about how everything is interlinked. Okay. Right? So that's one example. The second example, Anbasivam.
Yeah.
Now everyone knows Anbasivam Sivaman, but they know the same. You ask anyone, they'll be able to quote it, they'll even tell you what it means. But how many of us practice it? So people were angry with him when they said, but wait a minute, how can the villain of Anbasivam be a Saivite devotee? Is he attacking Saivism and Hinduism? No, he is talking about how people that are too involved in religious practices forget what spirituality is.
Basic, yes.
Because, and if you listen to the title song of Anbasivam, that is a summary of what we call Hindu thought, Sanatana Dharma. The summary of our beliefs is contained in that song. But yet it's coming from an atheist.
Yeah, exactly.
So he calls himself an atheist, but he doesn't know that in Hindu definitions he's very much a Hindu. He'll be quite upset if he hears about this.
Exactly. And, I quite enjoyed his movies and the portrayals and the ideas as well. Not only those two movies, but so many movies that he's made. In a way, like the entire, I would say, division of religion as well in caste we see in Sangamam as well that being brought about. But to a certain extent, I think he's highlighting ideas in religion that's there that we've forgotten about. Because as I said, we're concentrating too much on the practices, but not about the humanity within religion. So in a way, do you think that actually has backfired on him? Or could that be? Could that have been his intention, or was it something that he did, but there's another angle to it?
Look, he's never been a populist at any time in his career. He's always been treading the singular path. He's gone against the grain of what people expect in terms of morality long time ago. He's gone against everything else, and he will always be that lone ranger, I think, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
But I think lots of people also understand that his talent as an actor really is unmatched. And when we talk about his acting, it's not just his acting, but his knowledge of the film industry as a whole. And this constant thirst to learn more. I think that level of respect he would always have. But when it comes to his political views, as I said, his new venture into politics, I'm still trying to understand why he has done that. And my only conclusion from that is that he's basically resigned the fact that he's not going to get any kind of political power in Tamil Nadu, given the kind of stranglehold that the DMK and the Dravidian parties have had over the history, and realized that the only way it's going to make a difference is through a seat in parliament. How much of a difference that's going to be, of course,
we'll have to wait and see.
Very questionable.
I haven't seen so much of atheist ideologies in the Telugu industry. Apart from, I think the only thing that one I can remember was in Kushi. where there's two sides of the family. The one father was atheist, one wasn't. At the same time, I haven't seen too much concentration on religion itself, as much as there have been certain splashes of it in the Telugu industry. How was as I said, we were not exposed to too much of Telugu cinema in the past. To a large extent, it's like one of the earliest Telugu movies I watched was Nuvastana Antine Dantana. Before that, I'm not too sure, what movies came to South Africa. But has there been a lot of religious releases and iconic movies like Thiruvalayadu and Meenakshi Thiruvalayadu on the Telugu side?
The most popular movie of our time, Devan may correct me, was the Ramayana. We had Sampurna Ramayana and we had the Ramayana. The Ramayana was made in many versions and they even attempted to make it now like a cartoon one with the Prabhas.
Yeah.
So that was a very popular movie. And then Bhakta Pragalada. That was 1940, 1930, 40.
Now it was early 70s, I think, or late 60s.
Yeah, Bhakta Pragalada.
Shankara Bharanam was there as well.
Shankara Bharanam, it was mostly a poet, not a religious movie. It was mostly one of the fans of the poet falling in love with his music.
Yeah.
Right. Then we had the Sri Ramadas who came to the shores of South Africa. That was very, very interesting to watch because most of the bhajana songs are in that movie. Bits and pieces of it have been modernized, but in that movie. But the popular movies was Bhakti Pragalada, also the Krishna movies. You had the Tamil version and the Telugu version coming in South Africa. But as Devan mentioned earlier, we had to see a proper religious movie.
Well, you know what? I think many people, even people our age sometimes, everyone might have forgotten, when Varuvan Vadivelan released at the Odeon Cinema, it was unlike any other release that I've ever encountered because in the foyer, they had transformed the foyer into a huge shrine. Huge statue of Murugan, pictures, banana leaf, offerings. Yeah. It was a complete shrine, the entire foyer. And every person that entered the cinema got a packet of sweet rice.
Oh, nice.
And before you entered the cinema, you already had that frame of mind. So by the time the movie ended and you walked out, you had this feeling about, okay, yes, I need to get closer to God. Because what I think our viewers should be reminded about, the movies we watch, the values that are portrayed in the movies, directly or indirectly influence our thoughts, our actions, our decisions. And if we watch movies that push us towards the good, we become better people. If we watch movies that push us towards bias, we will not necessarily become bad people, but you cannot unsee or unhear anything. It stays with you forever, which is why I've always gravitated to our Tamil movies, because yes, we're going to a different time period now where some movies are not quite following in the pattern, but even now, it's still very largely a conservative industry. Even with the influx of the leftist thought, and even though they're trying to modernize it, you will see that we're still staying the very, very conservative. I mean, Anirudh, he thought, let's use some profanity and get some likes, and
I got himself to a huge trouble.
It backfired, like you wouldn't believe. So you would realize that in his early music, just after 3, he thought, okay, I'm popular, I can do basically anything, and my young followers are just going to eat up whatever I'm going to give. And then he realized, wait a minute, Tamil Nadu hasn't changed that much yet, and it's still very much a conservative state. We must not say that's backward. It's not regressive at all. When we say conservative, it means clinging on to positive values. So, and that's the reason I think our films are where they are today.
And something that I've noticed is, taking the religious aspect in cinema is that in current day, it's gone more towards a socio-economic sort of genre, speaking to that. Whereas if we take movies of the past, religious movies, they actually went into scriptures and spoke about scriptures, touched on scriptures as well. And for me, that actually was a form of education. But do they now, let go of the whole social aspects, the social topics they need to speak to, maybe trying to use religion to actually get people to think about that? Should they let go of that completely? Should they find a point between the scriptures, educating the scriptures and speaking about the social aspects, or should they go back to the original formula?
I think the best is to find the middle road, because even if you look at a movie like Paravan very well, was not a religious movie. It was a semi-religious movie because it dealt with ordinary people in ordinary situations with ordinary challenges and how they overcame that simply through devotion and a change in their behavior. So if we're looking at where we should be going now, yes, we should know what our religious roots are and they should be maintained. But it doesn't mean that if we're concentrating on the social, the political and the social aspects of it, it doesn't mean that we're going against religion. I am going to again stick my neck out here and say that current Tamil cinema is obsessed with caste. Now we're trying to get past the caste issue, and we know that society is not past it. We can see it from the newspaper. We see that the caste-related killings are still happening. We know that. But this constant bombardment of a very one-sided version of this caste war in films is keeping those wounds open. It's not doing anything to mend society.
Yeah.
And I think this preaching about what caste is and how bad caste is should be put aside, and let's bring more positivity into our movies. I mean, if you look at a movie like Parandapo, yes, there are very strong political and social statements made in the movie, but the handling is done through humor and through ordinary everyday experiences. We want to go into a movie to be entertained. We do not want to be lectured.